Alright, good afternoon everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto and welcome to yet another market update. We did a live stream about an hour ago, a little bit more, and wanted to do another update right now talking about the markets after the inflation rate and CPI data, which we got a little bit over an hour ago, and just in general what to expect and what's going on with the markets right now. So that's what we'll do. It will be a relatively long video, but trust me, it will be packed with value. We will not only talk about the news and the effects of which right now, but we'll also focus in on Bitcoin, focus in on Ethereum, XRP, and some other altcoins, which I think you need to know about right now, giving you some sort of a watch list of interesting altcoins. So that's what we'll do. So let's get right into it. I was looking for something to my left. Yeah, that will be interesting, but I'll show you in a moment. So what happened, for those of you who do not know, is that we had some major news. We had CPI and inflation rate data coming out. All the readings, all the data was lower than expected, which is great. All right, that's great news. That's great for the monetary policy outlook for the US in 2025 and short term. So that's all good. All right, you want lower than expected inflation rates. However, the question remains: well, is this bullish news? Because it is bullish. Is it enough to actually push the price of Bitcoin up, which so far, as you can see, it has just led to volatility and quite a lot of volume, but no breakthrough yet, no breakout yet. So is it enough to push the price up in a time where there is quite where there is still quite a lot of uncertainty, right? The FIX, the volatility index, which I've talked about a huge amount of times in the last week, is still very, very high. And then what I think is interesting, and that's also the key thing that I'm looking at right now, because I would say, and I said that earlier, a couple of minutes on X as well. For me, it's very close to 50-50 in expecting in predicting a bullish breakout or a bearish breakdown. And that has to do with that. Well, the fundamentals, I would say at this point of time are quite decent. But with all the movement we've had, with all the headlines, especially in the last couple of weeks, like it could still happen that we'll get a bearish headline, some sort of escalation in a trade war, whatever, and that we'll get a bearish breakdown. All right. So for me, it's quite 50-50. When I talk about Bitcoin, I'll tell you what I expect in general and just in general some guidelines. But the main thing I'm looking at is that the S&P, the stock market, has opened. As you can see, slightly higher than the close yesterday. So what I would like to see, and what you see very often, is that you get some sort of that this gap gets closed, and whether we will actually see some continued bullish momentum afterwards. All right, that's going to be key, because one of the key reasons why I'm leaning towards expecting a bullish breakout for Bitcoin is the fact that I expect the S&P 500 stocks to bounce. All right, so that's one of the most important things when we fill the gap right here, which we have already done on the 1 hour time frame, but when we do so on the 4 hour time frame, which is possible, and that could also provide some more bearish pressure on the short term, will we bounce from there with strength or not? If the answer is yes, which I do expect still, I think we can actually see a bullish breakout for Bitcoin and a rally into 87,000. If not, we will most likely retest the lows. Now, like I said, talking about Bitcoin, what I think is most likely is what you see on the screen right now, right? But to make it a little bit easier in these market circumstances, with all the news we can get, the easiest way I think you can look at Bitcoin right now is just say, what is the most important resistance level? It's 84,000. What is the most important support level? It's probably around 82,000. Just wait for the breakout, all right? Wait for either a breakout above 84,000 or a breakdown below 82,000. And then if we actually have that break, all right, so the candle actually closes below that, then we at least know some short-term direction, and then we can be a little bit more certain about the pullback into support or a further push up. So yes, I'm telling you, price can go up or down. Some people don't like that, but that's the honest truth, all right? It's just up to you to know, all right, this happened. Now I know the price will go up. This happened. Now I know the price will go down. And like I said, given the circumstances, I'd say it's most likely the price will move up, but I will not make any major moves until we have confirmation. So Before we talk about the rest of the things that I wanted to talk about, quickly wanted to shout out the Signal group we have, because I genuinely think we have an amazing group. You can see it around the screen, but there's links down in the description as well if you want access to my trades, which are profitable. We're still making profits right now in these market circumstances. Trades from 2 traders, but also constant updates throughout the day and trading education to actually make you a profitable trader as well. Consider joining, but that's up to you. You can still make money in these markets, but you do have to know what you're doing. And I would say that the group we have is an amazing tool for that. But now on to what more I wanted to talk about: Ethereum, XRP, and then other altcoins. First of all, Ethereum is still at that major support level we have right here at 1800. I would say that Ethereum at this point of time is one of the most undervalued assets in crypto. All right, we're at a major support. Have I bought yet? No, I have a buy limit a little bit lower, which can be hit with volatility. But ultimately, I would argue that I do think, with the strength that Ethereum has, I do think the bottom for Ethereum is near. So definitely a coin to keep your eyes on. Again, if you want to be safe, wait for the reclaim, wait for the breakouts above 2000. 2000 is a major key level as well, and it's also been respected in the last week. But it's nearing the bottom. All right, so definitely keep your eyes on this. And then talking about XRP, I mean, basically what we've been saying for the last couple of days has come true, at least so far, in that we have respected support, and we've actually seen some bullish momentum as well. I think this will continue. It's slightly dependent on what Bitcoin does, but ultimately I'd say that XRP is going to hold this bottom right here, and that we can actually expect some bullish momentum from that into 2.41 later on down the line as well, when we see some solid support throughout the market. That's an alert going off, which might be interesting, but I'll look at that a little bit later. Talking about other altcoins, look, most altcoins, as it was the case yesterday, unfortunately, are still very, very correlated to Bitcoin. So that is also what you can see right here. There are some altcoins that are outperforming the market. I mean, we had some positive news about Redstone, for example, which I went long on, but you can see that's relatively bullish after the news that they've partnered up with Securitize. So there are still coins doing well, and you can see Pi, for example, is still doing quite good as well, even though this to me looks more like a short opportunity than a buy. But outside of that, I mean, I have to be completely honest with you, and I do not see that many altcoins that I think those are interesting. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Sui, potentially interesting. Made a video on that this morning. I think that's bottoming out soon as well. But outside of that, I think there's not much that's very interesting to buy or trade in general at this point of time. So that's what you'll have to work with. Those are my thoughts. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Be ready and just in general be prepared for the volatility over the course of today after big news like this. Stay safe and take care. Bye.